What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Jagan Gaming. So originally I really didn't want to give this individual any kind of attention, and I kind of said the same thing when I made the video a week or so ago on Zombie Unicorn. But when I saw this past weekend, it put a smile on my face, and I decided I was going to go ahead and just make an exception. So of course I'm talking about Anita Sarkeesian and her Feminist Frequency nonprofit organization, which is broke. Okay, Feminist Frequency collapsed in on itself like a dying star, but the truth is we all saw this coming years ago. Anyone who was really paying attention looked at this and thought, okay, it lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, to be honest, but it's finally happened. So for those of you who don't know, during E3, Anita made a couple of tweets that kind of raised a lot of questions in the gaming community. These tweets made people question the financial status of her nonprofit organization. One of those tweets was to EA in response to the fact that EA had posted that they donated $1 million to nonprofits working to end bullying and online harassment, which to me is just dumb. If you're being harassed online, all you got to do is hit the damn block button. She goes on to say that EA didn't speak up during Gamergate, and that Feminist Frequency has been a nonprofit on the front lines of this issue for years, constantly struggling with funding. Now, that's where a lot of people questioned, how are you struggling with funding? Okay. Now, what got my attention was her tweet to CD Projekt Red in response to some of the backlash they got for the Cyberpunk 2077 demo that got, or gameplay that got released during E3. And she states, I'm always available for consulting because it sure sounds like you need it before the whole of the internet drags you for what sounds like some potentially sexist representations, which we all know you've struggled with in the past. So it seems to, so when I saw this tweet, then that's where my suspicion started to arise, and it sounds to me like she's begging for work. So what the hell is going on here? So now, for those of you who really truly don't know who Anita Sarkeesian is, okay, I first came across her in 2012, 2013, and that's when she did her series called Tropes versus Women in Gaming. And this was a Kickstarter, and her goal was to reach $6,000 to fund doing this 6 video series. And instead of raising $6,000, she actually raised $160,000, or about $156,000, give or take. Okay, so that was in 2012, and I remember, when that came out. But I also remember it was supposed to be a 6 videos in the series, but I think she only did 2. Okay, so a lot of people question what happened to all that money. Well, of course, we're not dumb. We know what happened to it. She pocketed it. So about 2014, she gained nonprofit status, and since Feminist Frequency became a nonprofit, they're now required to report their annual financial status. So here's where you can tell that Anita ran this organization into the damn ground. So in 2014, they spent $64,000, and they had an ending balance of $441,000, give or take. In 2015, I don't have the expenditures for 2015, but I believe their ending balance was around $233,000. In 2016, they spent $520,000 and had an ending balance of $343,000. In 2017, they spent $438,000 and had an ending balance of $149,000. And then finally last year, 2018, they spent $323,000 and have an ending balance of just under $31,000. They are basically broke. That means if you look at their financial reports, which are available online, okay, they basically, and according to the article that I read, they basically blew through $1.6 million in the course of 5 years. Now, what I didn't know, again, according to the article, her group consists of 4 people. It's herself, 2 of her friends who co-created Feminist Frequency, and they hired a producer. So how the hell do these 4 people just blow through $1.6 million? Okay, as a result of this, earlier this year, she had to lay off her two employees, or her 2 friends. She herself had to stop taking in a paycheck, so now she's no longer getting paid. And she's also had to close her offices. Now, they say offices as in plural, so how many offices does she have? Why do you need multiple offices? I don't understand that. Okay, this is part of the problem. And when you look at her content on their YouTube channel, it doesn't exactly scream, you know, a professional type of video. Okay, now granted, their video editing is way better than mine. I'll be honest, but how are you blowing through all this kind of money? I mean, you have a producer. How much are you paying that producer? Okay, when she did her Tropes versus Women series, she was using the LA YouTube studios, which is free if you have at least 10,000 subscribers. So now I don't know how nonprofits work. I don't know if you have to have an actual business address or if you can operate out of your house. But if you can operate out of your house or out of like the office I'm sitting in right now in my apartment, then that's what I would have done, because now I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to pay electricity for an office. I don't have to pay for a phone line. I don't have to pay for internet or any other expenditures that come with renting out office space. But again, I didn't think to look up, you know, the rules that govern a nonprofit. So again, I don't know if you have to have an actual physical address or if you can operate out of your house. If you can operate out of your house, then that's what I would have done. But then again, that's just me. So the question everyone's asking is, where the hell did this money go? So Anita has, you know, over the years, she travels all over the country, you know, talking at venues. You know, she also goes all over the world. Okay, so you know she probably had first class accommodations, and she probably wasn't staying in the Motel 6. Okay, wherever it is she traveled to. Not to mention, I know for a fact, she also had to get security because of all the death threats and rape threats that she gets, okay, from, I guess, the gaming community, because she's not very well liked, and she knows that. So I can't imagine hiring a security detail was cheap. So the problem with having a nonprofit organization is that she relied heavily on the donations from corporations. Now, she also received donations from individuals, you know, other feminists and, you know, social justice warriors who donated to her cause. But the vast majority of her money, if you look at her financial statements, the vast majority of her money was coming from corporations. And this is what killed her organization, other than her obvious mismanagement. Because keep in mind, when you look at the financial reports, it's not an itemized list that shows, okay, this is how much we spend on airfare, this is how much we spend on hotels, this is how much we spend on business lunches or business dinners, this is how much rent for office space costs. Obviously, she had multiple offices, so I can only imagine how much office space would cost, which I believe she's in LA, but I'm not sure. Okay, then again, if you're renting out office space, I would assume you're probably having to pay for electricity and phone lines and internet and you know, everything else. So you can't see exactly where this money was spent, but clearly it was mismanaged. Okay, so as I was saying, she relied heavily on donations from corporations. This is why she was so upset when EA stated that they donated $1 million to nonprofit organizations to fight online harassment and bullying. She was pissed because EA didn't throw any of that money her way. Okay? She needed the money. This is why she was offering her services to CD Projekt Red. And if in the off chance somebody from CD Projekt Red happens to see my video, please do whatever you guys do. Please maintain artistic integrity. Don't listen to these damn social justice warriors or these feminists. Nothing you do will make these people happy. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Okay, you guys obviously were trying to make the game I guess, LGBT friendly by having a trans woman on the poster that upset them, and then they still got upset. Okay, so again, if in the off chance, I've had a lot of people tell me that CD Projekt Red is one of the last really good gaming studios. Okay, I'm really looking forward to Cyberpunk. I'm building a new computer right now, and I'm building it so specifically for Cyberpunk 2077 because I want to be able to play that game at ultra settings. Okay, hopefully I'll have at least a 1080. Hopefully, okay. But please maintain your artistic integrity. Keep the game the way it is. Don't listen to these feminists or social justice warriors. Most of them, I can promise you, aren't even going to buy the damn game anyway. They're just looking for another victory. That's it. That's all they're looking for. Okay, but anyway, I kind of went off track here. But like I said, this is why she was so upset, and this is why she was offering her services to CD Projekt Red. And keep in mind, wasn't she a consultant to BioWare for Anthem? If you guys remember, when Anthem was in development, they put out a story that showed Anita Sarkeesian getting a tour of the facilities at BioWare for Anthem. And as soon as I saw that, and as soon as the majority of the gaming community saw that, we were done. As soon as I saw that Anita Sarkeesian was attached to that project, I was done. Whatever hope I had that, and I didn't want BioWare to fail. I really did not want that. Okay, but as soon as I saw her attached to that game, and I don't know what she was doing there, if she was a consultant or if she was just visiting, whatever, she had no business even being in the damn building. As soon as I saw that, whatever hope I had for that game succeeding went out the window, and I didn't look back. I didn't even bother with it. Okay? But this is why. Because she's broke. She's basically just, whoring herself out to the first gaming studio that'll take her because she's got no money. Okay? So like I was saying, these corporations are the ones where she was getting the vast majority of her money. And one of the reasons why these corporations were giving her money is because it put them in a positive light. It made them look like, hey, we're aware of the feminist agenda, and, they were basically trying to, be woke, and it puts them in a generally good light. The problem was that as soon as they got their good publicity, their need for Anita is now exhausted. They no longer had a use for her. Okay, we donated money, we showed the community how woke we are, okay, but now we're done with her. Okay, and then all that money eventually started drying up. And when you really stop and think about it, when you see companies like EA, with the mess that was Battlefield 5, you see the Gillette commercial where they cater to all these social justice warriors and LGBT and all this other crap. Okay, eventually some of these people finally started wising up. Okay, maybe we don't need to give our money to these people anymore because it pisses off the actual fan base. Okay, again, look at what's going on with Gillette. I'm sure their stock is just soaring right now. Okay, but once those companies, once they donated their money to her, I think what she was expecting is that these companies were going to continue to donate money to her. Okay, but once they got presented in the positive light like they wanted to, then okay, you've exhausted your usefulness, we're done with you. Okay, and these companies, that money that she was getting from all those corporations eventually just dried up. They weren't donating money anymore. The other way she was getting money is from her YouTube channel, and here's the thing, her YouTube channel has over 200,000 subscribers. The problem is that she only has roughly a few thousand people listening. So there's hardly anyone listening to her podcast that they have, which basically is all that's left of Feminist Frequency. It's basically a strictly voluntary thing now. I would imagine they'll probably be completely shut down because now nobody's buying into her bullshit like back in 2012, 2013, 2014 timeframe when she was probably, I guess you can consider her relevant at the time. But then over the years, what people started noticing finally, and keep in mind, people in the gaming community were telling people, stop donating money to her. Look at where the money's going. Okay, she promised you a 6-video series on women versus tropes in gaming, and she only cranked out 2 videos. She only needed $6,000 and she made almost $160,000. So what happened to all that money? Well, she pocketed it. Okay, duh, of course that's what happened. And Gundam did a video on her a couple of days ago, and I'm going to repeat something he said in his video, and it made me crack the fuck up. But he made a point of saying that sooner or later, those two females who got laid off, I'm willing to bet they're going to turn on her. And they'll let everyone know, yeah, the reason why we're broke is because she pocketed a lot of the money, which we all suspected anyway. But the problem is that people finally start wising up to her. They see that she's the con artist that she really is. And they started noticing that every time she does come out, and really the only time she comes out is, E3, VidCon, or some kind of venue like that. That's the only time I ever see her, come creeping out from under the rock of irrelevancy. But you'll notice it's the same shit, different day with her. She's bitching and complaining about a different game, but it's the same thing. Okay, she's complaining about the misogyny. She's complaining about how women are being objectified in the games. There's not enough, feminine or female representation in the games, or the LGBT isn't being properly represented. It's the same shit. And people finally started catching on. Okay, all you're doing is repeating the same damn thing. And now finally, karma has finally caught up with her, and now her organization is broke. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see her working at McDonald's within the next week or so. That probably won't happen because, believe it or not, for those of you who don't know, Anita Sarkeesian is not stupid. I believe she has 2 bachelor degrees and maybe a master degree. I'm not really sure. I believe one of her bachelor degrees is in political science, I think. And I don't remember what the other one is, but she's not dumb. Okay, by far. She's not dumb. She knew what she was doing, and I can promise you, as soon as she got that $6,000, that Kickstarter where she requested $6,000 and she got $160,000 instead, she probably thought that she could just ride that gravy train off to the sunset. And the shit finally backfired on her. And don't get me wrong, I don't typically like seeing people fail because I've had my share of failures in life. But when someone, just drags the gaming community through the mud, and I've been a gamer since the 80s. I'm in my 40s now and I'm a gamer. I'll probably be a gamer well into my 80s or 90s. But when you take the gaming community and drag it through the mud for your financial gain, spreading your toxicity and your lies, you have no problem having channels shut down. You have no problem playing the role of the victim. And now the shit finally caught up with you. So you didn't feel sorry for everyone, for the gaming community. Why the fuck should we feel sorry for her? So, feminist frequency is finally done, and I, for one, couldn't be happier.